Hey guys, it's Grade3 and I am here today for a different kind of baking video. Normally I just share one of my favorite recipes or something, but today I'm going to be testing a lot of recipes. So lots of people are gluten-free nowadays for health-related reasons. Some people do it for diet reasons, but if not having gluten makes you feel better, all the more power to you. But there is a bit of a problem, and that is finding gluten-free recipes that work, are actually tasty, and are even comparable to the ones that normally have gluten in them. So I figured today I would put to the test 3 different gluten-free flours and see which one performs the best. So these are the 3 I've picked out. This is the gluten-free flour we have used in my household for a while now, but due to the recent flour shortage, because of these uncertain times, it has been nearly impossible to find, and it has also gone way up in price. It's being scalped from everywhere. So my uncle was out shopping and he picked me up this. And then I figured, time to make a video, I'm gonna find another flour. And I found a bunch of recipes where the person said that they used this specific flour. So I figured, let's put them to the test. We're gonna put these 3 flours through 3 tests. The first one is a recipe straight from their website that literally calls for using this specific flour blend. So it will be these companies saying this is what our flour tastes good in. And then the second category is going to be all the same recipe of a typical just gluten-free recipe that calls for a generic gluten-free flour. And the final recipe is going to be a recipe that normally contains gluten, but we're going to replace the regular flour with this. That way we'll see how well it performs under the best circumstances, how well it performs just as a regular generic gluten-free flour, and how well it performs as a measure-for-measure replacement. The only thing is, Pillsbury is a little weird. So on their website, they don't even list this as a product. And they have recipes on their website, but all of their gluten-free recipes boil down to this. It's either a recipe that wouldn't normally contain gluten, like a pomegranate roasted turkey, or the recipe, something like chicken nuggets, they tell you to crush up Cheerios and use that as opposed to doing anything with their own product. So I just found someone on the internet and they specifically use this flour for like everything. So we're gonna use their recipes and see how those work out. Now there's also another thing I want to talk about before we get into this, and that is pricing. Gluten-free flour is not cheap. You need to factor in the price when it comes to this. I am watching this cat, I'm sorry. He is licking a toy mouse. I had to give him all these toys or else he'd be bothering me throughout this video. Okay, I've stopped being distracted by the cat. So the price for these, the Namaste is the most expensive. It is $12.29 for a 3-pound bag, making it $4.10 for a pound. That is pretty expensive. The King Arthur flour is $9.95 for 3 pounds, making it $3.30 per pound. And then we come to the Pillsbury. Remember how I said they refused to acknowledge that this product existed? Well, it's not listed on their website at all, so I don't have an exact retail value to go off, but I do know what I did pay for it, and right now, a 2-pound bag is $4.98 at Walmart, so that makes it $2.49 per pound, making it the cheapest out of all of these. Now, if you've never used gluten-free flour before, you're probably wondering, well, they're all gluten-free flours. What does it matter which one I get? They're all measure for measure. They should all be fine. Not all gluten-free flours create equal. So if we look at the ingredients on these bags, these are all brown rice flour based, as you can see. Well, this one's just rice flour, not specifically brown rice flour, but this one has some difference. For instance, it uses arrowroot powder, and this one also has potato starch instead of just tapioca starch. Meanwhile, the Pillsbury is very, very minimalist. It's only 5 ingredients, and I have never seen pea fiber used in a flour before. All of these are going to taste and behave differently. We're gonna start off our first recipe with the Namaste, and I'm gonna be real, I've already made this recipe and it was really good and I want to make it again. I was gonna use it just for like some generic recipe, then I turned it around and I was like, oh, Oh! And it was so good, so I printed off their website. They have a lot of recipes on their website. If you see all these recipes, these are like ones I need to make and test. I'm so excited for this. Also, all of these recipes are going to be made dairy-free. For a butter replacement, I'm going to be using this Smart Balance because this is just what we have. Normally I use the Country Crock, but the person that does all these Pillsbury recipes says they use Smart Balance, and I'm gonna be real, I taste a little bit of it, and I don't think it's very good. But we'll see, maybe it performs great in baking, we'll find out. And then while they used almond milk in like all of their recipes, I'm going to be using coconut milk because I have tried to use almond milk before. Almond milk is not very good, and I'll say why real quick. Almond milk tastes like cereal, which is fine if you're putting it in cereal. But if you're using it in baking, you don't want your mashed potatoes to taste like cereal. I am speaking from experience here. Those were disgusting. So from my experience, coconut milk has just been the nice go-to in the middle. It doesn't leave a flavor. It doesn't make things taste coconutty. It works in baking, and I'm not a milk drinker, so that's just what I like. And after this very long intro, we are finally going to make cinnamon sugar muffins. Oh my God, these are good. And that is a lie, it does not make 6 muffins. It does not. I mean, I guess if they're like the jumbo muffins, then it's 6, but this makes more than 6. By the way, I'm only gonna be making half batches of this because like I'm the only one eating it, and yeah, this would be a lot of food otherwise. The directions for this are really, really simple. First, we just need to combine the dry ingredients. So that is 1 to 1.5 cups of flour, 3/4 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Last time I made this, I ended up sprinkling more cinnamon on top, so I'm actually gonna add extra cinnamon in. Probably should make it the way it's directed for the first time for you, but I've already done that, and I know I like cinnamon, so I'm just give this a little bit of a mix. I see you there. Stay down. Don't come up here. I don't want you to be my bacon buddy today. What did I just say? And now we need to add the remaining ingredients, which are 1/3 cup of oil. I am using coconut oil. 1 egg. Well, I tried. 1/3 cup of milk and half a teaspoon of vanilla. Vanilla always smells so good. I always think I want to like lick it or something, and one time I actually did lick one of these measuring spoons, and that's when I remembered it's vodka. And now to just give it a nice good mixing. That's what I like about this recipe. It's really simple. I might need to add a little more flour. Last time I made this, it was really dry, so I didn't add as much, but I think I need to add a little more right now. This is also have to go in some tins. Sticky. But see what I mean? Like the half batch I made, I thought this might make more because last time I made more than 6. Now for some mix-ins. I would say mix this all in with the batter before throwing it in here, but I'm using frozen fruit instead of fresh, meaning that it would kind of like color everything. And I did that once. I mixed a bunch of frozen blueberries in waffle batter, and I turned the waffle batter blue, and I thought, it's just a color, and I'm having a blueberry waffle, so who cares if the whole batter tastes like blueberries? That was the most disgusting waffle I've ever had. So last time I tried pecan, raspberry, and blueberry. Believe it or not, the raspberry is my favorite. I'm excited to add peaches to the mix. We had peaches, and I'm like, oh my God, I love peach cobbler. Imagine if it tastes like peach cobbler. I have really high hopes for these peaches, and letting you know, if you do mix-ins like this, they're not gonna sink down, so you're gonna have to kind of like push them through the batter. It's because this batter is so thick. And then oddball, I'm not expecting this to be good. We had pineapple from like another recipe. I didn't like that recipe, so I'm gonna put some pineapple in here and just see how it tastes. I'm not like actually the world's biggest fan of pineapple. I like it better cooked and on pizza. And then I want to do like the rest just like raspberry. I got out blueberry, so I guess I'll do a blueberry raspberry. Mister, excuse me. Go away. These are my muffins, go away. You had your mouse, you're good. No, I did bad enough. I had to pull your fur out of everything. Do you have to stick them in my muffins? And now we're gonna pop this in a 400-degree oven for like 18 to 20 minutes. They passed the toothpick test, which means they are done. Oh, all I smell is that raspberry. Oh, it smells so, so good. And that peach smells really, really good too, because peach and cinnamon work really, really well together. I wanted to try apple too. Gosh darn it, that's what I forgot. Well, because they list here, chopped apple. Raisins, blueberries, nuts. I've heard of those. I've never heard of adding apple 2 muffins. I wanted to try that, but I forgot. Darn it. Now I gotta taste this. First I deal with Peake, and then I have to deal with you. Why? Don't you be getting ideas just because she got them. You stay there. Yes, I'm going to eat a muffin with a fork. That is interesting. I don't know how to feel about that. Really though, this is like, it's not bad, but I don't think I'd make this again, like with a pineapple. I can't sit here and eat all of these, so I'm going to have the peach next. That looks so good. Oh my God. Oh, get a nice big part of this with the peach in it. I'm disappointed. I thought the peach would be really good. I mean, it is good. I do like this. On par with blueberry. Not as good as the raspberry though. The only thing is, even though I like doubled the cinnamon, I'm still not tasting it very much. So I'm gonna sprinkle some more on. Now I have this loaded with cinnamon. Okay, too much cinnamon. Too much for me. I think I know how I like to make this now. Use a regular amount of cinnamon in the batter, and then just sprinkle extra cinnamon on top. I think that's how I like it, okay. Oh my God, this is so good. I need to stop eating this or else I'm gonna like eat the whole batch. On to the next recipe. So for our next recipe, we are going to be doing the King Arthur recipe. The recipe I picked off of their website was the soft pretzels. I haven't had soft pretzels in so long, let me tell you. That sounds really, really good. Now this one isn't specifically dairy free, so we're gonna be replacing the milk with coconut milk and of course just using the Smart Balance. We'll see how that tastes. I don't have high hopes for it. You know what, I should really just like take a little bit and just, oh, it's actually not bad. Wait, never mind, it gets worse. Oh my God. I feel like I gotta use this because it was expensive. My mom bought the expensive tub. Do you want it? If you eat it all, I can say you had it. Do you mind? Get your nose out of my bowl. You know, maybe this stuff will taste fine once it's actually baked in stuff. Or maybe it won't. I don't. Dude! Stay down! Ever since he saw me making a yeast bread, he found out he really liked yeast, and actually he really likes bread. I'll show you. Hey, Peake. If you're wondering, it is safe for cats to have a very small amount of bread. He can't have like a whole bunch, but he can have a little bit. There. See, he likes it. He really does like it. And for the record, he doesn't like gluten-free bread. Anyways, our first step is to combine the flour, sugar, yeast, salt, xanthan gum, and baking powder. So we need 3½ cups of flour, 3 tablespoons brown sugar. I told you to stay down. He's just gonna be my baking buddy now. There's no fighting it at this point. 2 teaspoons instant yeast. Don't eat that. Don't, stop. Stop! This is why you're not allowed up here. 1¼ teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon xanthan gum. Get your nose out of there. And ½ teaspoon baking powder. Now just give this a little stir. So for the next step, we need to add the water, egg, and butter. So that's 1¼ cups of warm water, 1 room temperature egg, and 2 tablespoons of softened butter. So you're supposed to stir until like a firm dough forms. And it says it takes like a couple minutes in the stand mixer. I don't have a stand mixer, so for the record, he is now laying on top of the recipe. Peake, I've never made this before. I don't know what I'm doing. You're sitting on my instructions. He knows I keep paying attention to that, and he's like, no, pay attention to me. Are you making something with yeast? Is it something that I will enjoy? You know what? If anyone has like any cat recipes that they could send me, like does anyone have like any homemade cat treats or something? He loves fish, and he really goes after liver. Okay. Time to go in with the hands. You don't really need to like knead gluten-free dough like you do regular dough because you're not developing the gluten by kneading it. Oh, it does say the next step in the recipe is to knead the dough and then transfer it to a greased bowl to rise. I don't want to dirty another bowl. Good. And just want to cover it and gonna let it rise until it's about doubled in size. So 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So it has been the 90 minutes, and as you can see, it hasn't really doubled in size. So I think this recipe would need a modification if you were going to make it again. We always use active dry yeast. This is fast rise yeast. I'm not really sure what the difference is, but either way, what would have needed to be done is instead of mixing the yeast in with all the dry ingredients, is probably would have been a good idea to mix the yeast and the water in to let the yeast bloom, and then mix it in with everything else. Just add the yeast in with the wet ingredients. So I think that would have gotten a better rise. But for now, it's pretzel rolling time. So we're supposed to turn the dough onto a lightly floured surface. Oh, I hate doing this. It makes me feel like I'm making like such a big mess. Okay, well it tells me to gently deflate it and divide it into several different pieces. Let's see, gently deflate. Oh, I can hear the air escaping. Oh, it formed a skin. I think that's a big problem too. Now it tells me to divide this into 12 equal pieces. I made a half batch, so that'd be 6. Okay, there we go. Got 5 little dough balls that can stay rested over here. And then I've got the one that I need to work with. I don't even know why I put flour down. Honestly, this stuff like it's not sticky. Now roll this. Maybe that's why I flour the surface. I've been watching videos on pretzel flipping and stuff, so I'm gonna start in the... I guess this only works with flour pretzels. Ah, it's falling apart. I'm supposed to roll this out to be 12 to 14 inches. Do you guys think I'm gonna get that far? That's probably about as good as it's gonna get. So, oh, it kind of pulls together. Let me see if I can do this. Hold it up, and then you... It looked better when they did it. It's wanting to come apart. Hold it up, and then whoop. No. Gosh darn it. I want this to be an even snake, but it's not rolling out evenly, and I'm afraid it's gonna tear. Now I'm just gonna kinda do there. Hey, it's a pretzel. I have 5 more of these to do. That's not comforting. So here's my pretzels. Please don't ask me what happened over here. I don't know. And they just kept falling apart. So I really don't have much faith in this next step. We are going over to the stove. So we gotta boil 4 quarts of water with 2 tablespoons of sugar. Don't know what the sugar's for, but okay. And then, y'all, 1/4 cup of baking soda. Okay, they said it's gonna be frothy at first. Just wait until the froth settles down. I wasn't expecting it to be that. Ah! Maybe the baking soda reacts with the sugar or something. I don't know. Sciencey stuff. There's our water set. And I'm supposed to drop these in one at a time for about 5 seconds each. It says it's going to initially sink, but then it should start to float. Okay, go. Come here. Huh, that went rather well. This is surprisingly easier than I expected it to be. Uh-oh, it's sticking to the ladle. Oh no. Oh, there it goes. Left a little bit of itself behind, but it's okay. And you monster, in you go. It took longer for the water to boil than it is taking to do these. Oh no, this one's sticking to the ladle too. And I'm done. I can turn the burner off. Now, it says from here just to put some salt on them and then put them right in the oven. It seems odd to me that you would not do an egg wash. So, who wants to make a mistake? If I am doing this, I want to at least try to do a good job. I got the egg out with one hand, okay? That's better than before. I'm not gonna do all of these with an egg wash just to see if their way is fine or if they're just trying to do things simple. All egg washed now, all eggy. And then of course, what's a pretzel if it's not really salted? So you're supposed to top it with coarse salt. Although the closest thing I have to that is cheese salt. Doesn't actually contain cheese, just salt that's normally used in cheese making. We haven't made cheese in years. This is really old salt. Kind of like me. Crinkle, that's a lot of salt. Ooh, that's a lot of sodium. Oh no, I can't get all of the salt off. Okay, and I have the oven preheated to 425, and you can bake them for like 18 to 20 minutes for soft pretzels, 25 minutes for chewier pretzels, and up to 35 minutes for hard pretzels. I like chewy, so I'm gonna go for like 25-ish minutes and just see what happens. You need the big oven this time. Probably could have gone for a smaller cookie sheet, but oh well. There we are. Now to clean up this mess. Pretzels are done. Oh, hot, hot. Supposed to let them sit for like 10 minutes before eating them. So you can kind of see the ones I egg washed do look a little different, but not by a lot actually. So gonna just let these cool for a bit. Even though nothing is better than a hot pretzel, let them cook a little more. Let's all collectively agree they've had enough time to cool. And I am going to, I'll eat this one that's had the egg wash. Ooh, that is doughy. It's very pretzel-like. I can see why I didn't tell you to do the egg wash now. It's very, very crispy. I'm gonna try this one that hasn't had an egg wash. I mean, I guess it's a pretzel recipe, but it's not super great. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe it needs more salt. You know, maybe they made these up real nice. My favorite type of pretzel is a pepperoni pretzel, where you put little pieces of pepperoni all around it and top it with a little bit of cheese. Maybe if you did that to one of these, then it would be really good. But as it stands, these are just okay. Sadly, they're not great. It doesn't fully taste like what a pretzel did, which, I mean, the thing when it comes to gluten-free stuff is you have to settle with, is it good enough? But you need to do better. Now, on to the Pillsbury. Okay, so I need to make a little correction, and let me explain how this mistake was made. If you go to Pillsbury.com, you will see this. And if you go to products, you will notice their flour is not there at all. It's nowhere to be found. And it's certainly not found anywhere under their recipes. But if you go to PillsburyBaking.com. Oh, what is this? Let me go to products. Huh, what's this gluten-free stuff? Oh, wow, look at this. And there, yeah, it's right here. I don't know why they listed on a separate website. This makes 0 sense, but you know what? They still don't list a retail price for it, so they actually don't have a gluten-free category in their recipes. Well, that would have been really annoying to comb through. So I guess, like, our only choices would have been this pie crust and the sugar cookies had we actually decided to make a recipe from their website, which is hidden, but because I didn't know that until after I've already set up for this, we're not doing these recipes. I don't like sugar cookies. I got more pie crust recipes than I care to admit. Pillsbury, why don't you list all your products on one website? Why do you put them across several? That makes no sense. Anyways, on to today's recipe. I had 2 recipe ideas in mind. I couldn't decide on which, so I put the poll on DeviantArt and figures you guys picked the most complicated bread. How am I supposed to make? We're gonna make gluten-free bagels. Let's do this. Now when I say that the bagel recipe is a lot more complicated, look at this. This is all for these bagels, and had we made the dinner rolls, it would have just been this. Anyways, to first make bagels, we need to, in the bowl of a stand mixer, just a bowl. We're gonna add the sugar, warm water, and yeast. So that's 1 tablespoon sugar, 2 1/4 cups of warm water. It's all the reflection off the water. Don't do it. Stay down. Stay down. Peake. Give this a little stir. The sugar is really not gonna dissolve in water, like, do you mind? And 1 tablespoon of yeast. You know, I'm not even gonna fight at this point. He's my baking buddy. He does this every time I cook. Anyways, I want to give this a little stir to let it all incorporate. Probably should be using a whisk or something to get these like clumps of yeast out. No! Don't stick your foot in this. Okay, now the instructions say to cover with a dinner towel until it's all frothy. I don't see the need for that, but okay. I just realized I said dinner towel. What the heck is a dinner towel? And now we wait 5 minutes. Peake got Kershaw furry. Also, please look at how this dork drinks. So now I think I'm gonna call this frothy. I don't know what the deal is with putting the cloth over, but you know what? It's fine. This is some alive yeast. So next we need to add the flour, xanthan gum, psyllium husk powder, baking powder, salt, and brown sugar. That's a lot of stuff. It says to omit if your flour blend already has a xanthan gum. This does, and that's what she was using. So first, 3 1/2 cups of flour. That was a nice sound. Also, I spilled flour on Kirsch. Whoops. 1/2 teaspoon xanthan gum, which I'm not gonna add. And then 3 tablespoons of psyllium husk powder. Apparently this is just fiber, and I got a second bagel recipe that I wanted to try out that uses the same thing, and someone in the comments said that they just replaced the psyllium husk powder with this, and that it worked fine. So I'm going to use golden flaxseed meal. The difference between golden and regular is apparently golden has a more mild taste. So they're both like nutritional fibers, so they should be fine. How does this stuff taste actually? I want to get a little pinch. It doesn't have much of a taste, but it has the texture of sand. 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 1 tablespoon of light brown sugar. And now we're supposed to beat on a low speed for 2 minutes with a dough hook attachment. Well, these qualify as dough hooks. It also doesn't say why we're beating it for like 2 minutes with a dough hook. I guess it's time to use my dough hooks. That's a phrase I didn't think I would say. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say it's been about 2 minutes. So our next step is to add the butter and apple cider vinegar to the bowl of the stand mixer. If I do this, does it count? So 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and ½ cup of melted and cooled butter, and use smart balance. Hello darkness, my old friend. Just gonna say that this is good enough, although since it's basically made from olive oil and I just melted it, so it's in liquid form, couldn't I have just used olive oil to begin with? And then we need to beat on medium for 5 minutes. Well, this will be a challenge. Yep. Challenge. I am beating on medium. Has it been 5 minutes yet? Oh my god, it hasn't even fully been 2. I have once again opted just to use the dough hooks. You know, it might have been easier just to make the sugar cookies. Time. Thank god. I'm gonna say this dough is sticky and stiff. Gotta transfer the dough to a greased oven-proof bowl. This is an oven-proof bowl. And, funnily enough, all the grease from the dough kind of like just greased all the edges. You know what? We got a greased bowl. We're 1 step ahead. We're gonna cover it with plastic wrap, then a kitchen towel. Why both? I skipped mentioning stuff at the beginning because they want you to preheat an oven to 100 degrees before you gotta do all this. Preheating oven to 100 degrees takes like a minute. You don't need to do that. I'm just gonna set this to warm. By the way, I know this seems weird. This is not a toaster oven, it's a mini convection oven and it's awesome. Okay, plastic wrap. And really, if this is gonna keep it from drying out, then I really don't need to put this towel over top. But the recipe says so. I don't wanna sit here and just like keep making fun of this person, but these are some really, really weird choices. As someone that's done baking for a while, it's just weird. It's just really, really weird. Anyways, it's supposed to rise for about 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. That looks like a good rise. So let's take a look and see. Actually, that wasn't very much of a rise at all, was it? Our next step is to shape the bagels. Remember, I'm still doing half batches, so they say the whole batch would make 8 bagels. And so this would make 4. That's a lot of bagel. I might do 6. But okay, next step. Shaping, and we know how well it went with the pretzels. Let me just divide the dough. I don't know why I was expecting it to be more stretchy. That's the whole point. Gluten-free dough is not very stretchy. Now, there's 2 ways you can make bagels. You can roll them out in a little log and then like twist them around, but this recipe tells me to do it another way, and I am very, very grateful for that way. So we're just gonna roll it into a nice even-ish ball, and then basically you're just gonna flatten it down, and then you just press your finger into it and make a hole that way. And that, my friend, is a formed bagel. Peake, what is he? He's got some toy with a bell on it. Well, now is the point where I'm deviating from the recipe a bit. They don't say that this is okay, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So we all know that the best bagel in the entire wide world is a blueberry bagel. This recipe calls for things with toppings, but not mix-ins. So I am curious, and it's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna make me the best blueberry bagel, and I'm gonna kind of just press it in, because I can't really twist it in the dough, so I'm gonna kind of just like, oh, my hands are purple now. Press it in between 2 discs, and then I'm just gonna poke a hole. There, I've got a blueberry donut. Not a blueberry donut, what the heck? And I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna make me a second blueberry bagel. Oh, this is really cold. Actually, I wonder if it'll rise very much because these are so cold. Oh, I didn't think of that. Okay, so I got my 2 blueberries, but if you think I'm content just doing the rest normal, you're wrong. I'm gonna make an apple bagel. You know what, I didn't need to do the 2 pieces for the apple. I could have just like squashed it in and rolled it in like this, because the apple isn't frozen. It's not gonna like leak everywhere like this stuff is. You know, I think the last one I'm just gonna do another plain bagel. I am going to now cover them with a towel and then let them rise for the 10 minutes that's required. It's back to haunt me. So bagels are boiled before they are put in the oven. Anyways, you're supposed to take a 1/4 cup of honey and add it to the water. You can also use maple syrup if you're vegan and making this vegan. And I need to dissolve it into the water. And it's 2 quarts of water. By the way, in case it isn't obvious, I'm not cutting down like the water in quantities and stuff with the boiling. The pretzels, that was ridiculous. I did not need 4 quarts of water for those tiny little pretzels. I don't know why we're putting honey in the water, but okay. And now the water stopped boiling. Look at that! The water is like completely yellow now because of the honey. That doesn't look like anything else at all. And now that the 10 minutes are up, I'm going to uncover these. Please let the blueberry ones rise. Please have let the blueberry ones rise. Please let the blueberry ones have rised. They didn't rise. So we have to boil these one at a time for 30 seconds on each side and then put them back on the paper. I'm going to do the plain ones first because if I feel like if I do the fruit ones, it's gonna go bad. So just set it in there and let it boil. Oh, I was supposed to turn the heat down to medium-high. And now I need to flip it. No, oh. Bad thing. Okay, it's flipped. We're supposed to put these back on the tray with the bottom down, but that actually wasn't so bad. Okay, next one. I need to get better at flipping these because I feel like the ladle's kind of like half destroying them and I don't want to do that. How are you actually supposed to flip this? It's just a little, oh. Do it fast and don't be afraid. And last of the plain ones. Okay, fast and don't be afraid. Fast, don't be afraid. Woo. Now for the fruit ones, I'm gonna do the blueberry absolute last. I hope this holds together. It doesn't seem to be coming off the ladle or floating. Oh no. Oh, there it goes. Okay, well, left a little bit of itself on the ladle, but that's okay. That's all right. Quick and don't be afraid. I don't know why I have to flip it so it's face down. Oh, it fell apart. Maybe the hot water will make them rise some, and this one doesn't have as much fruit on the outside, so maybe it'll go a little bit better. Oh, that one ain't coming up. Rise to the surface, little one. No. Rise to the surface, little one. No. Okay, now it's starting to rise. I think because the yeast is activating now and it's laying out some gas. I'm gonna flip. 1, 2, 3, flip. Nope. This is all going fine. And the very visible seam where you can see the blueberries. Yeah, it kind of came apart at that seam. Huh. And a blueberry fell out. I'm gonna really like pinch the edges together here. I don't have to worry about the middle, it's just the outside. I just really want to make sure this one doesn't like fall apart like the other one. Okay, I think this one's going a little bit better because I pinched the edges. So, well, it was a semi-good idea I had. It needed work. So 1, 2, 3, flip. That got more sugar water on the floor. This is gonna be some sticky floor. Okay, I'm proud of myself. I did it. Now we are doing an egg wash. But surprisingly, only with an egg white and we water it down. I've never heard of doing an egg wash like this. Now I'm going to wash this toothbrush again. If you're making vegan ones, you can completely skip this step. You can really see where the apple fell apart, by the way. Oh, I put too much apple in it. I think it's a good enough egg wash. Now, I might love blueberries. That might be my favorite. But there's something else I like. Have you ever been to Panera, I believe? They have this thing, I think it's called like a cinnamon crunch. It's cinnamon sugar and oats. So I want to see if I can make one of those. And also the apple one is not going to be plain apple. It's going to be cinnamon sugar apple. Like, what do you take me for? Lots of these oats didn't make it on the bagels, so we're going to put in at 425. It says the middle rack. Good enough. It says for 10 minutes and then turn the baking sheet and cook for another 15 minutes. That shouldn't really be necessary. This is a convection oven. The idea is it has a fan that keeps the heat circulating, so you're not gonna get uneven cooking, but I'll do it fine. Actually, bringing through the whole thing, I looked at the notes and yeah, I kind of noticed something. You know what else I realized besides the fact that I think I somehow got flour on my wings? I made these smaller than the recipe called for, so I probably should not have baked them that long. Well, live and learn. All right, these have cooled enough. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a, oh, that's still really hot. This one's a little more dense. It's kind of to be expected, but really crispy on the outside, really doughy on the inside. It's not very sweet, surprisingly. I don't know if this is better than the pretzels. The pretzels were okay. And this is a little bit of a letdown, actually. If I were to do this again, I cook them for longer at a lower temperature, and I'd skip the egg wash. The egg wash makes the outside just too crispy. So now I want to try this apple cinnamon. I'm curious about it, and because the boiling mishap kind of already got me a piece cut out. Actually, this one doesn't look too much fluffier. It definitely is fluffier than the blueberry. I actually don't know if I like the apple too much. I hate to say that, but I think the apple kind of makes this worse. It's very bready. It's very much so reliant on you putting a topping on. I can tell this was not made for fruity or sweet bagels. It was just made for like more nutritional bagels. Ones that look like this instead of ones that are filled with fruit. I hate to say this, but I think these are a little bit worse than the pretzels. The pretzels were a disappointment. The muffins, however, are great. So round one, I'm gonna have to give it to Namaste. They were good. had I gone with Pillsbury's sugar cookies, may I have a little bit of a different opinion, but was it a little unfair for me to pit a non-yeasted recipe against 2 yeasted ones? Probably. Now it's time to go to our next round. For the recipe that calls for just generic gluten-free flour, I am using this Ritz-Style crackers. They don't actually taste like Ritz, but they're decent crackers, so we are going to be making 3 half batches of this. For some reason, it's a rule in my house that we can't have more than 2 matching bowls. And, yep, I got my baking buddy again. Say hi to Peake. Anyways, let's just get right on into this recipe. So first off, we gotta put the flour, xanthan gum, or well, we're omitting it because all these blends contain it, baking powder, sugar, paprika, and salt into a bowl and whisk together. That's your foot. Are you gonna make my life hard? So that is 1 cup of flour, half teaspoon of xanthan gum, we're not doing that, so 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, half a teaspoon sugar, half a teaspoon smoked Spanish paprika, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. And then just give all of these a little whisk. Now these are whisked together, we need to use a cheese grater and grate the cold butter into the dry ingredients. I'm not using the Smart Balance for that. I'm using stuff that actually tastes good. I'm using the Country Crock. This is what I normally have, the Country Crock buttery sticks. I like the olive oil the best. This is what I'm gonna be using because it has the best flavor. I have the regular Country Crock margarine that I'm gonna use for another recipe later. So that will be 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I bet this wasn't something you were expecting to see when you woke up today. And of course, you wanna keep breaking it apart. You don't want the butter to really stick together. Now that we have kind of tossed the butter in the flour to coat it, we need to add the vegetable oil and stir. So 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Stir, stir, stir. So now that these are all mixed up, our next step is to add in about 1/2 cup of ice water, but we're gonna do it a very little bit at a time. You don't want too much water in your dough. So you were wondering why I had this thing of ice over here that's now like completely melted. Is it that hot in here? Try not to get ice cubes. Well, I got ice cubes. You just want enough water so that the dough comes together and holds its shape. This Pillsbury is actually taking a lot more water. It's starting to come together, but still too crumbly. The King Arthur only needed a little over half, and this one needed like the full amount. Now they're all mixed up, we have to wrap them in some plastic wrap and put them in the fridge. Also put it on a label so that way I know which one is which. Into the fridge you go. Now normally I stick to doing 1 recipe at a time until it's all the way finished. That's because normally I'm only doing 1 recipe. But because this is gonna require some time, I figure while it's chilling, we are going to make the second recipe. This for round 3 is to test how these work as a 1-to-1 replacement for regular flour. Now, I thought it was a little unfair for round 1 to pit a non-yeasted recipe against 2 yeasted recipes. To even the odds for the playing field, we are going to be making a yeasted recipe, and that is cinnamon rolls. This will test how chewy they are, how much each dough rises, and overall flavor of bread, I guess. This is also the 1 recipe that's not from the internet and is instead from like my mom's favorite cookbook. So anyways, to make this recipe, you have to use half of the sweet roll dough, which is over here. So we are going to be making this first. And this only calls for half of this. And I'm only making half of this. I mean, I have to make 1/4 of this. Guys, I have to use 1/4 of an egg. But I'm still gonna read you the full amount of this recipe. So that way you don't have to do the math I did. But if you do want to do the math I did, yeah, have fun. First, we need to dissolve the yeast in the water. That is 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast and 1/2 cup warm water. I've run out of spoons. Now that the yeast is dissolved, we can add in the remainder of our ingredients, which are 1/2 cup of warm milk, 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup shortening, the good stuff, not that Smart Balance, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 egg, and 3 1/2 to 4 cups of flour, but we're only adding in half of it for right now. Now I just need to mix it all together and use the rest of the flour as needed to get the dough to form a nice ball. This is taking a lot of extra flour. I might have to grab another bag. This is still really, really wet. I need more flour. That's it, this bag is empty. That's all the flour in the bag. Oh gosh, this is still really, really wet. It's coming and forming a nice ball, but it's so sticky. Yeah, this is way too sticky. I have to get more flour. Now you better not need any more than what this bag has, because this is my last bit of King Arthur flour. I think that's finally coming together somewhat. I'm gonna say that's dough 1 done. Now to move on to the Namaste. This dough isn't sticky. This feels a lot more dough-like when working with actual gluten dough. Wow, this feels almost like gluten dough. So that means the last up is the Pillsbury. This yeast sure has been enjoying that sugar. Ooh, this feels just as wet and sticky as the King Arthur dough, but I haven't added nearly as much flour as I did to it yet. So there we have our 3 doughs, and now they need to be kneaded until elasticy, which has to develop gluten. They don't have gluten. I'll still need them a little bit though. You know, the King Arthur might have required more flour, but it's sticky again. Hold on. I'm just supposed to do this for a few minutes, but really what it seems to be doing is it's just making this dough want more flour. It's already eaten up that flour I needed into it. It's getting sticky again. You know, it's gluten-free dough. I am going to say that it's done. Okay, I just have to point this out. Look at the size difference. Which one has more flour, do you think? My God. This one certainly feels a lot different from the other ones. It feels like lighter and fluffier, and I don't know why. It smells like Pillsbury. It smells like someone's making like Pillsbury cinnamon rolls or something. I ate those a lot as a kid. They weren't very good, but I ate them a lot. Okay, all of these have been kneaded, and we're supposed to put them in an oil bowl. This will be fine. I'm not gonna bother putting it in another bowl. Now to let it rise and to keep it from forming a skin on top. It says here in the instructions to put them in a grease bowl and then turn the dough grease side up. Or you could just, that didn't work the way I was hoping. Well, then we're just going to cover these, and I'm gonna put them in a warm oven to rise. We need to wait until they double their size, so about 1.5 hours. I didn't read that far ahead. Okay, this is gonna be a long video. Now back to our crackers. The dough has been thoroughly chilled and is now stiff, so I'm gonna take them out one at a time and roll them out. From here, I want to be a little blind because I'm getting my mom to taste these too. So I have numbered each bag of flour, so Pillsbury is 3, and I have written on the back of the parchment paper in pencil the numbers, and I am going to have it correlate to that, so that way my mom doesn't know which flour belongs to which cracker. Now this is very dry. This actually acts like it could have used a lot more oil. It's so much drier than the rest. But anyways, time to roll it out. This would not stay together if I rolled it on something else. The easiest way to roll out dough like this is to get it in a little bit of a disc shape. Put some wax paper over top so it doesn't stick, and then just roll it out. You could flour the surface and flour your rolling pin, and hold on, you can't do this on the cookie sheet. But that adds more flour to it, and half the time, you really don't need to do that. So I'm just going to roll this out until it's thin. Remove the wax paper gently so it doesn't pull up the sides. And then from here, of course, take a cookie cutter and cut out your crackers. Because of the baking powder, they are mostly just going to rise and not spread, so you don't have to worry about like putting them far enough apart. These are falling apart as I am moving them. Hopefully they come together nicely in the oven. I ran out of room there. But now our next step before putting them in the oven is just to poke holes. The recipe says to use a toothpick. Just use a fork. This actually already did preheat, but I preheated on the wrong setting. So we're gonna put them in a 375-degree oven. If you have a convection oven, use regular bake, not convection bake. These things need direct heat, so you need that. And then just set the timer for about 7 minutes, and that should be about it. They will be done in less than 10 minutes. Now to do this with the other 2 doughs. And the last one is complete. Once it comes out of the oven, while it's still warm, you want to brush it with some melted butter. I'm not doing a very good job here one-handed. And then while the butter is wet, sprinkle it with some excess salt. I have done this to the other 2 trays, as you can see, and now I'm going to do it to this one. And then you just want to let it cool on the cookie sheet, so that way it'll get a little bit crispier on the bottom. Now that the crackers are chilling, it's time to see how well the dough all rised. Wow, that rose a lot. That didn't rise at all. So they definitely formed a skin, unfortunately, but oh well. So right now we need to punch the dough down. Deflate it. Anyways, we have to mix together the cinnamon and sugar for this mixture, and that will be 1/4 cup sugar and 2 teaspoons cinnamon. And yes, I am going to use the same cinnamon sugar mixture for all 3 of the doughs. There's no sense in making this several times over when there is no flour in it. So now we have our next step, which is to roll out the dough. I'm gonna work it a little bit to kind of get all the dry bits incorporated. Well, even though my counters are clean, I am still going to roll this out in between 2 pieces of wax paper. It's supposed to roll into a rectangle 15 by 9 inches, but this is a half batch, so like 7.5 inches by 4.5 inches. Oh, it's sticking to the wax paper here. You know what? That's fine. I left most of the dough. Now, according to the directions, we need to spread 2 tablespoons of margarine or butter. Just gonna spread this over the dough, like that. Not the cleanest, but it's there. And then just top it with the cinnamon sugar mixture. I need to try and get, I think that's about 1/3 of it. And I know you're probably yelling at me saying you need to do that last little bit. My mom convinced me to try another recipe in this book. It uses the exact same dough. It's for orange rolls. So this is orange juice, powdered sugar, margarine, and orange zest. That's what it is. I couldn't remember that. Orange zest. It's very, very runny. I'm supposed to roll up tightly, starting at 15-inch side. So I did this the wrong way. Oh well, these are just gonna be some big rolls. Oh no, it's not coming off the wax paper. Crap, I should have thought of this, shouldn't I? All the orange is rolling out. I don't know if it was supposed to be this thin. I feel like it was supposed to be thicker. Just like take some of this and cork up the hole. And then kind of lift it off of here. Oh my god, the whole thing's soaked in orange. Okay, well, I know what to do next and I don't need to read the instructions. Cut this and set it in here. That's cinnamon, but the top of it is orange, so I'm just gonna set there. You know what? Make up for what it lost. I don't think I'm gonna do this with the other rolls. I'm just gonna do it with these 2. There, okay. Why did I make cinnamon rolls? There's so much trouble. Why did I think to do this? These aren't very tightly wound up either. That's fine, that's fine. You're technically supposed to take a knife and pull the sensors up a little bit, but I'm not gonna bother with that. That's done. Anyways, now to make that. Now I'm just going to repeat this with the other 2 doughs. Now that this mess is clean, I probably should have greased the sides, but I didn't think that far ahead. So, as you might have guessed, these things have to rise again until they about double in size, which will be 40 minutes according to the instructions. So, more time to rise. I thought I'd be done with this by now. Well, they rose for like an hour and then they cooked for 25 minutes at 375, and this is the end result. They browned very differently. This one got really, really brown, and this one got, and these 2 got like no color. Oh, I see him. Here he comes. Onyx is one of our neighbor's dogs who keeps coming over to play with me. I'm supposed to top this with a little bit of glaze, and I'm gonna make a very small amount. Glaze is just powdered sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and milk. So now it's time to taste, and I have my mom with me. She's gonna help tell me which one she thinks also tastes best, so it's not just my opinion. That's chewy.
The taste is pretty good. It's not light and fluffy though, like a bakery roll would be. But the taste is good.
Now number 2.
I don't like the taste.
It's very crunchy and dry.
It's a little bit fluffier than the first one, but I don't care for the flavor. I wouldn't eat that.
And then the 3rd.
I don't like it. It's kind of it's like eating something made of sand. Something about it.
Yeah, the first one's definitely the best.
The first one's the best, but the texture of it isn't as good.
I need to let him in the house. Oh my god.
He's really hot.
Cracker time.
Start with number 1. Well, first of all, they're not crisp like a cracker.
I know.
I don't like the flavor of that. I'm not finishing that. I don't really like that either.
Really? It tastes about the same to me.
Okay, last one. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the worst. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, none of them are good. The 3rd one is disgusting.
The number 3 and like both the tests were the worst to you.
Yes.
Number 3 is the Pillsbury flour.
Oh.
Number 2 is the King Arthur. And number 1 is the Namaste.
Well, in the crackers, 1 and 2 kind of tasted similar.
I couldn't really taste much of a difference, but I did kind of like the King Arthur a little bit more with that. It had a little more flavor.
The problem is it's not crunchy enough, so
yeah.
it should have cooked and become like a cracker. That's kind
They cooked longer than what it said to on the recipe. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't get very good today.
Well, I need some real food now.
What, is this not real enough food for you? I don't know, I have to try this orange thing. There's something that has so much sugar in it, and it's very orangey. That's not very good.
Ugh, that's not good at all.
And you said you love this recipe?
Well, I do like it with real flour.
I'm gonna say round 2 with the crackers, that's a tie between King Arthur and Namaste. And round 3 with the yeast recipe. Namaste, I think, is the best flour that we tasted today.
Yeah, much better.
Pillsbury didn't do a single thing right. Where'd the dog go? Okay, he's not in my room. My room is where the cats and Webkins are. Come on, Onyx, it's time to go outside. There we go, boy.
I'm not going out if you're not going out.
He's got his ball. Okay, he wants to play. Wait, I need shoes. And that is it for this video. I want to take a few minutes to wrap up my final thoughts, and I couldn't do it the other day because I got a little distracted. Where's the ball? You want me to throw it? Yeah, dogs. And of course I got my baking buddy. So I'm surprised my mom hated the crackers so much. I'm not particularly crazy about them, but I also don't hate them. She's got me a lot of gluten-free crackers before, and I found all of them to be absolutely disgusting, so this is less disgusting. Which is another thing, I know this one tastes the best, and I know it was the most expensive, so I wanna say my uncle got me this bag at Costco. It's a 5-pound bag, different from their 3-pound on their website. And it was also $9 for it, as opposed to the 12 something that they charge for a 3-pound bag on their website. So if you have like a Costco or Sam's Club near you and you have a membership and you want to try this flour, that is the best way to get it. That makes it cheaper than the King Arthur and even cheaper than the Pillsbury. That would actually make it the cheapest out of all the options if you can buy it in bulk like that. Another thing I want to point out about gluten-free flour is you can't just do what I did for the cinnamon rolls, and that is take the flour and just replace it. I know these are supposedly measure for measure flours, but gluten-free flours need some modifications. Sometimes they need a little more starch, or in this case, the cinnamon rolls, I think what I would have done is I would have let the dough be a little sticky. I don't think I would have worked as much flour into it, and I would have added some extra xanthan gum. Sometimes it's helpful to add even a little extra yeast or baking powder to give something gluten-free a little more rise. There's always things that need to be done in modifications for gluten-free recipes. And because I still have some of this flour and a bunch of this, we're not done with testing these flours. This is just it for this video. Next time, I want to try testing bread recipes with these flours. So anyways, that's all for this video, and if you watched it, thank you so much for watching the longest baking video I have ever made. And remember, never bake without your buddy. So I'll see you in the next one later. He was gonna fall.